This is something that I've been trying to get into for a while. I don't necessarily just want to be talking about how to implement things for businesses, but I also just want to become, a trusted filter that you can use to make sense of the accelerating pace of change. So I just threw something out there with zero preparation, just my thoughts on a recent article that I'd read, and it's performed extraordinarily well, at least from current subscribers. Right now, it's 2 of 10. Basically, like no editing, everything was like super minimal. So I'm thinking I'm gonna, incorporate some more of that moving forward. That was really, really fun to do. And aside from that, really just been dialing down with the agentic workflows. So we're trying to do one video a day. I'm working out better frameworks for hosting them, giving people like, single webhook links that they can query to like receive a result. Except the workflow is, for all intents and purposes, done internally as an agentic workflow, but it's exposed as like simple procedural logic. Yeah, that's more or less what I've been
That's
working
cool,
on this
man.
last week. You?
You're building your own APIs, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dude, same. Focusing a lot more on volume, so doubling up on content, which is cool. I actually was building one before I came on this podcast actually, because I'm using a new software now, dude. I'm using this Screen Studio thing because OBS said, Jack, look, the frame rate, the speed at which you're moving through these scenarios is too quick for me to handle. So I've had to upgrade the software a little bit, bro, to get something better that can match the speed that we're doing on these workflows. So it can't handle it, which is cool. So, dude, yeah, building out some really cool things with that. Also blazingly impressed with the speed at which we can build anything we want now. I was even thinking of stuff that I was asking people to look at, that it's just actually sometimes easier with the idea to execute it and get it done within 30 minutes than anything else. So it's an amazing, dude. And it leads on to this N8N MCP. I mean, Nick, you've heard about this, right? This MCP thing. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't actually played around with it. Could you give me like the TLDR here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know Model Context Protocol. It's basically the universal, remote that lets things talk to other things without you having to fiddle around with things. So traditionally, when we integrated for everyone's benefit N8N to things, we had to align the webhooks and come back and forth and flirt and dip and dive and go back and forth. The idea now is that you can one-click it. So you give with Lovable, for example, it's a one-click integration. And then all you do is you enable MCP in that scenario and in your settings in N8N and give that scenario description, just saying what it's about. And then what you can do is it will basically search through your N8N scenarios and trigger them at will. Essentially meaning you have to do no plumbing. So in Lovable, you can integrate that right now into your apps. And then if you want to add it to any custom build that you're doing in Cursor or AI Studio, whatever, you can basically just give it a generated piece of code. And so you don't even need to think or worry about the inputs or the outputs. You can trigger this with webhooks, chat messages, schedule, or basically like 4 different things you can do with it. And it's very cool. So I was just doing a build on it actually, and I just said like find this one specific thing, and it was doing very well. There are some questions. Actually, I don't want to get too deep into the technical, but yeah, that's the high level of it, dude. So basically, it's just making connecting like front ends to back ends really easy.
That sounds really similar to what I was doing with calling N8N webhooks
Yeah,
with these agentic workflows. I imagine they probably anticipated that this was some like a direction that people were going to go. Then they just wanted to
right.
like expose it to be able to integrate things much
Dude,
easier.
it's crazy. It's actually crazy. I was thinking of doing a video soon on, the AI workflow builder in N8N.
Yeah.
Dude, that has been quietly upgraded, like in the shadows, Nick. Like I'm talking about, I checked back in on it today, and I was like, "What the fudge?" Like, mate, honestly, I said that I basically just described what I wanted, and previously it would kind of, throw something at the wall and be like, "All right, Nick, I didn't actually have to touch a single node. Like it genuinely did." It did a Reddit scraper, it did a newsletter scraper, and it combined the output to those 2 things just from 2 or 3 voice commands. And that was
Damn.
it.
Oh, and you do it with voice too. That's got to be
Of
satisfying.
course, then it was all voice. Not a single keyboard was touched, bro, in the entire process. And I swear it wasn't that good a month ago. Like it was cool, but like this was, Nick, like almost no amount of IQ was required to set this thing up. Like, well, honestly, like, I was like, I swear, like, I can't believe I haven't even touched my keyboard on this stuff now. So that's coming. And I sort of was thinking a lot about the rate of progress and the 2 big vectors. I think one vector is, if you think about the AI app development, it's Okay, its ability when it does make a mistake to correct it. So that's like one thing. When it messes up, how quickly does it do it? And the second one is really just getting it right the first time. And I'm finding my edits per 100 inputs generally is trending a lot further down with Claude 4.5 and the new Gemini model. It's getting really impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that. Because I agree with you. The most impressive thing to me is always just been that like healing and self-annealing property where it can make a mistake and then it can like update based off of the mistake and then the solution. Because the way that I see is like, LLMs are inherently probabilistic by nature. That's why they're so fantastic. They're so flexible. That's always been the big problem. When you do something with an LLM, you have like variability in output. It's almost like error bars, right? Like 20% of the time, it'll exceed what you ask it to do. 50% of the time, it'll be what you want it to do. But then 30% of the time, it'll fuck up so egregiously, it deletes your entire C drive. It's like, okay, we can't exactly trust this thing for any sort of real business application. By the way, that example actually happened. I saw it on Reddit the other day. Hilarious.
Did I delete all this shit? No way.
Yeah. It was like anti-gravity just deleted my C drive. What the hell or something.
That is
it's like, well,
yeah, when you give it this
play
unlimited
stupid games. What's that?
Nobody's really reading. Is it okay to do this thing? Is it okay to turn up to your house in the middle of the night? Yeah, it's okay. I'll accept all that stuff. Like, it's just clicking, just get to the point, bro. Like, no one's really reading it at all, to be fair.
Yeah. Rough stuff. Anyway, but yeah, I love the idea that like you can build something and then it'll actually screw up the building of the thing, but then it'll fix the building of the thing, update its directive or update its instruction set about like how to fix the thing, and then the next time you do it, it's just so much better. Like that's just so cool to me because it doesn't have to be right the first time. A common one of the reasons why models are so smart nowadays is they do something called consensus, which is where they basically they'll generate a bunch of outputs, and then the outputs will actually be rated by another model. It's really interesting, but that's now incorporated into training. This mixture of experts or MOE approach started being implemented a few years ago, and they found like just when you averaged out like 20 people's recommendations, it got way better. So basically what this means is 5 out of the 20 recommendations are trash, right? But now that you're averaging them out, now that you're like picking the best ones, you have like a chooser model, you avoid those. So what we're doing now is just basically the same thing. So actually, interestingly enough, I had a really cool project the other day. And I hope my video editor doesn't see this and just hates me for it. But I basically produced like an AI video editor. It was really cool. So essentially what it does is it analyzes the audio waveform and then it identifies areas of like what are called high energy and low energy. Low energy are sections where I'm like tapering off a thing and like maybe I don't know, switching tabs or making a point that like naturally ends, or I just make a pause. It identifies the start, the end point, does some little offset, stitches the two together. Okay. Then it also does some audio normalization, like puts in some cool effects and whatnot. And so this thing is basically like an AI editor. And I was like, okay, like, when I was trying to develop it, I tried it to just do it once before and it was kind of 50-50. So this time what I did was I took the same prompt, then I just sent it to 5 different Claude codes. Then I had every single one of them come up with a solution. And then I had every single one of them test the solution and show me the output. And I just was like, okay, that output's the best. So what did that do? Oh, that did that? Okay, cool. Let's go with that. And then that became the dominant one. And you can just do this now. Like there's nothing stopping the average person from doing this.
Race the Claudes against each other and give them names as well, like Steve and Irvin, and go get them, boy. Dude, it's funny. I remember like a year ago, because that's a cool project, man. I had this idea of chatbot consensus, because that was the idea that like if you had Gemini and Google and Grok and ChatGPT and Claude all weigh in on a topic, that they would naturally achieve a way better result. It's interesting to hear that because that was what DeepSeek was built on, right? The experts model. Mm-hmm. So they're literally calling a different language model as part of their process, or they've kind of spun up multiple instances of that model and they're cross-referencing each other. I'd be curious to know which of those two things it is. But you do get way better responses if you have a Claude expert, a ChatGPT expert, and a Gemini one. I actually, funnily enough, very rarely ever just single model it now. I'll often have 4 of them give me specific takes on it. And it's just interesting to see how they can all bring different angles to the table. But I think it's better when you have that back and forth conversation with it, where they're like, almost like sparring with each other and trying to like find something, because you've also got a lot of biases in all the models, which I think even if it's like a 4% bias, you won't notice it on one message, but after 10 messages, all of a sudden you've become, politically activated or something. And it's like, mm-hmm. you want that, that unbiased thing. So I think that's really cool, man. I also think that, don't you think that with the new AI apps, it's kind of ushered in this new era of creativity and fun and man, what is possible again? That kind of enchantment you had when you first found N8N and Make, it was like, oh my gosh, dude, what can I possibly build next? It's just opened up the rafters, the ceiling. There's no ceiling anymore in the houses now. We can just do anything we want to, which I think is really exciting. And I do wonder in the content ecosystem if that would naturally mean that pure N8N and Make builds would like continue to this conversation so crazy. I'm even getting out of focus right now. Will continue to trend down as the kind of AI apps bop up a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be like a killer agentic workflow builder app coming out. You know, when OpenAI they dropped their little agent builder thing, and we were all like, "Oh shit, is this it? Is this the thing?" And it was like, "Nah, it's not the thing. Nobody uses that at all. It kind of sucks." And I like was gonna record a video on it, being like, "I don't think this is the thing," but I missed out, and damn it, I wish I did, so I could be like, "Hey, look at that. Younger Nick was right."
I could it.
Yeah, like I do think we're trending in that direction, and it's just a matter of time before one of those comes out. And hell, it might not even be one of those. You know what it might be? What I think would be really cool could be like an open source framework for just visualizing the usage of agents through like a Claude Skills sort of thing or an OpenAI routine sort of thing. Some dude could develop it, drag and drop, whatever, and it would just be the same thing. When that thing, so you know, I don't think there'll be much value in the builds,
dude. It's interesting to me as well because if you think about Lovable, who sped run the 0 to 100 million ARR, lovable websites have a real look about them. Like I was looking at some different websites today and I was like, oh, that's a lovable website. And it's so funny how quickly it like people are still using lovable, obviously, people don't move overnight, but like the actual nucleus of like where you're getting the maximum ROI just left the vibe coding apps. As soon as that model got powerful enough, where it was like, holy crap, that's insane. It's insane. I mean, if you're lovable, what are you thinking right now? I mean, you've got access to all the same models, but I don't know. I just don't know why you would. I feel I'm very cautious about recommending new technology because I appreciate the inertia of learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're frank about it, the juice is 100% worth the squeeze now, to the point where it's like, if you can just spend that, 30 minutes with a cup of coffee learning this stuff, your ROI is going to be significant.
Yeah, the intelligence of these models is just swallowing up everything. And I think we've been seeing that for the last few years. Think about like Jarvis, or they're renamed Jasper from like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know if you're familiar.
They've called him Jasper. What?
Yeah, they had to rename because they got sued. But
who was that? Which company was this?
Yeah, well, I guess this makes sense. So I was doing a lot of content writing back in the day, right? And so I was using AI for content writing, and I was one of the first people to use AI for content writing, and like do start a business around it. And then after like a few months, this platform came out called Jarvis.ai. And it was like, what the hell's Jarvis.ai? And it was like an AI using GPT-3 at the time that was like specifically trained for content writing. So it was not trained for content writing, at least from my understanding. It was just like a little wrapper which had some high-level recommendations on how to do it, maybe like a prompt scaffold. And that was like the first time that anybody was using large language models anyway, so it was a very new approach. But anyway, obviously, like GPT 3.5 came out, and then GPT 4 came out, and like what's the use of like a little prompt wrapper that like helps guide the content when you can just one-shot it all?